Hello and welcome back to the Ben Mark Photography Podcast. It has been far too long. Admittedly, life got a little bit on top of me. I'm in the process of buying a house. My wife is currently pregnant. She is just over 20 weeks, so we're halfway along the process. And I have to admit, things just got a touch busy. And it's been bugging me that I haven't done the podcast for a while. It's been bugging me that I just let it slip because I was really enjoying it. And it's something that I truly enjoy, just the experience of talking to other people and hearing their stories, sharing their journey, moving forward with everything, and just exploring more. Part of my future and my wants as a person is to expand and grow. I want to be someone who can learn constantly. So I always find myself listening to people, whether it's like, on social media via, or say like a TikTok video or Instagram, or whether it's on YouTube or whatever it is, reading books, just like generally just talking to people and hearing their experiences. And I think for me that's something that's become incredibly valuable, especially as my business and my journey has kind of progressed forward. Now, obviously I've just got incredibly busy, and when I started the podcast off, I had a few things in place. My dad was working for me at the time, which I was incredibly proud of, and it allowed me to have a bit more free time, just in the sense that he was doing a lot of the driving for me. He would come in and make sure the gym was clean. Just doing like little bits and pieces, like just helping me kind of go and get bits so I could just get other stuff done, and just generally being a bit of a handyman. And to be fair, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And like all of last year when I had him employed with me, it was just so useful. And then January, February came along, and the business, just purely because of the nature of everyone's kind of just getting themselves kick-started again, didn't kick off as well as what I would hope to have done. I still didn't do bad for myself, and the business was still okay. But then it became quite apparent that where my travelling work has reduced somewhat since opening the gym, and then obviously more people are wanting to come here and less people needing me to go elsewhere, that it got to a point where I was barely using my dad. Like, he would come up and do a few bits around the gym. Him himself and my mum moved house, I think it was about a year or so ago. And for them, he was able to be at home and being able to like kind of do a load of work at home. So for him, it wasn't so bad at the start of it. And it was nice to be able to give my dad the opportunity to do that and still, have security for my mum and everything like that. Then things just got a little bit difficult, just purely because the business wasn't growing as quick as what I wanted to. I'd invested in some business coaching, and it wasn't working right, but things just started to take a bit of a move in a different direction. And so this podcast is a little bit about being true to yourself and just understanding and being able to take the bigger picture and learn that like you're going to try things and it might not always work. So as I said, like I had my dad employed. It was kind of coming up towards March, April time, and I hadn't really used him a hell of a lot, and business was kind of ticking along. But with investing into a new business coach, I'd paid out for a load of automations to be done on my systems just to try and save me time, just to mean that I didn't have to go in and do so many things inside of the business, so that then things ran themselves a little bit better. And admittedly, there's quite a few steps that I took. I hired a VA, which to help me like reach out to people and find more people that I can help, which has been brilliant. And they're based over in the Philippines, so it's very much learning to work with them, and that's been an experience in itself. And that's constantly evolving. I'm constantly learning more. And one of the biggest problems I've had is where I'm very busy in my nature, just with trying to keep on top of the workload, traveling around and all of this type of stuff. Time for me is incredibly valuable, and my main thing of everything is that I want to spend more time with my son, and we have a daughter due in November. And so, the whole thing, I know we're moving house this year. I knew back in January that we were going to have to move house. And for me, I needed to be in a position where I had the time and freedom to be able to do that. And because the business hadn't really turned in the right direction, and something that I was trying to do, which wasn't wrong in what I was trying to do with it, but because of how close ties I've got with obviously my best mate, one of my best mates, Adam, his business in coaching people. When I went down the path of trying to say to people, hey, I can help you make money, theoretically, yes, I do help people make money, whether that's having more confidence, whether that is them looking better on social media so more people sign up with them, whether that's just talking to them as a business owner and just listening to their problems and thinking, well, if I was in your situation, what would I do? From being someone that's grown from the first days of, doing £1,000 to £2,000 months, a little bit more, and then going up to, having a multiple six-figure business, I've learned a hell of a lot on the journey. And I, in my own nature, am someone who just wants to help other people. Like, I can't just sit here and just go, okay, like, it's your problem, just go away and deal with it. I just like to be a part of things because it's what I'm learning from. I learn from all these people and can see patterns in all these things, and it's just the way my brain works. It's not that I'm sitting out there trying to be a business coach. Like, I have learned that that's not necessarily what I want to do. In the such that I'm more about personal progression instead of business progression. It's not me sitting there thinking, I want to help you grow a 10, six-figure business or whatever. I'm more about, can we get the best out of you? And that shows in my photography and the way I'm with my clients. And like I said, this has all been a massive eye-opener for me, just learning more about this whole process. So we had to come to the decision with my dad that just purely because I wasn't using him enough, and the business hadn't really taken the turn that I'd hoped it would, at least in January, February, March anyway. So obviously I had to let go of my dad, which was a bit of a shame. He then went on to do a job that was really terrible for him, where it was kind of missold what the job was going to be. And for him, that then meant that, he wasn't, happy. And it was horrible just seeing my dad go from that. And, he's my dad. I just want him to be happy and whatever it was. So he ended up, fortunately, going back to the company that we both worked for. And, okay, he's busy again, but he's not having to do anywhere near as much work. And especially, like, he hasn't got great knees. Obviously, me and him have got something in common there. And he's now in a happier place, which is great. Jade and I went through a lot in January, and something we'll share in the future. Nothing too major. There's nothing major between us two. Like, we've never really had any big major ups between us as a couple. But obviously we fell pregnant again in February. I started noticing Jade's. I love Jade to bits, but she's so easy to see when something's going on because you can just tell with her body and the way she reacts. I could start seeing straight away she wasn't feeling too good, and I was like, I know you're pregnant again. And yeah, lo and behold, we found out we're having a little girl, which is unbelievable. Not only because we both said we'd like 2 children, and to have a little boy and a girl, perfect family, as most people would say. But also it just means that then we can get back to focusing on us. I think the big thing that I've been saying to Jade is that in the last, we met 8 years ago. The first 2 years of that, obviously, we were both living apart. I think we moved in, it was 5 years ago last month. So 5 years have flown past I seem to remember getting the keys for the house, and now, we're just about to move house. In that time, we've got married, got a dog, travelled around the world. We've then, we spent a month in the Philippines and Thailand. We've done Mexico. We did Miami and Jamaica on our honeymoon. We've been to New York a couple of times. We've been to Dubai a few times, and then we've done loads of trips around Europe and stuff. Like, we spent a fair bit of time doing stuff, with him buying a house, changing careers completely, then having Dylan come along. That's been a massive learning curve, and I now support Jade so that she can actually be at home and be a mum. She said to me when we met, she wanted to have a family. There was no thing for her about running a big business and everything. It was just, she wants to bring her bit, slice of the pie into the into our home, so that financially we can live and do everything. But I saw it as far more important to let her be a mum than her worry about bringing any money in. And I actually quite like the challenge myself. And it seems to have brought the best out in me. But since we've had the news, obviously we're having a little girl, that means that, hopefully everything, she comes along safely and everything's okay and Jade's okay at the end of it. And then we can just enjoy being a family and having the house and having the time together. I left full-time employment to be able to have time with my kids when they were younger, because so many times I've heard, like, the first 4 years of their life, like, they're the important ones. And then after that, they're going to go to school, and then that's where you're like, they're not around during the day, and, you don't get that same time with them. And bless Dylan, like he's an amazingly happy kid. Like he's just super happy to be around people and he wants to play. And if anything, it's given me a little bit of freedom to know that he's okay, even if I'm working a lot. But what that's also allowed me to do is realise just how much I want to get back and spend a bit more time with him, because I will not live with regret that I didn't do enough. And at the moment, I'm in a position where I've still spent a fair chunk of time with him. He's had like 5 holidays and he's not even 2 yet. You know, he's seen Dubai, he's seen Portugal, he's been to Greece a couple of times, or Cyprus and Rhodes. He's also, we've been to Jersey. We're also looking early next year that we're going to the Philippines to see Jade's dad, because he's not very well and we want to see him. And then my brother and his wife, like kind of having a proper marriage ceremony, because they had a very quick wedding. And we're going over to Mexico in the middle of next year. So we're going to have a newborn that's going to have seen both sides of the world. And also Dylan's going to have been to 7 different countries and he'll be about 2.5. So from that side of things, like I'm incredibly proud that we can afford and justify to do that. And it's been something that I see as a better value to myself, instead of trying to stack loads of cash up and rolling around in fancy stuff and doing all that type of thing. So come to March, April time, my dad was no longer working with me. That took a little bit of financial pressure off me because the business hadn't quite moved in the direction I wanted. However, it had maintained what I was averaging, which I was very proud of, seeing the fact that it just went through a period where sales weren't really coming in. You know, I get bookings for people who want to do one-off shoots, but at the time, I've noticed with my business, like when online coaches have a good time, I normally get the benefit of it a month afterwards. So that when they're having like their best months, let's say like September, when a lot of coaches like really start picking up, October, November time, I get really busy with people signing up, because they're, you know, everything's moving in the right direction and they're in a better place to do it. So April came around and very fortunately I had a big group shoot with an amazing person called Anna Moon, who's been on my podcast before. She had a 27 people group shoot over a weekend, first weekend of April, and it was like the roles reversed on the whole business. All of a sudden, I had pretty much had the best week in terms of my business takeover, like, you know, taking or whatever. And, you know, we sold out her next group shoot in, you know, hours after releasing it. And then just obviously where she's one of the best people one of the best females in the industry that I've met, especially for the amount of people that she trains and coaches and the team that she's got, and like the scale that she's grown it to. And she's really been like pivotal. Like, you know, I helped her a lot when we first met, just kind of helping her to realise how good she was at what she was, and just realign her. She'd very much gone down like the influencer route, which I personally think wasn't working. I know it wasn't working out for her. And I said how good of a coach she is, and now all of a sudden, like she's gone from transforming herself to transforming my business, especially with the way that her group shoots have worked. And that in turn has brought a hell of a lot of work into me. Like, I've literally been booked up with group shoots, and I think I've maybe got 2 or 3 weekends left up until the end of the year where I haven't got group shoots on. So from that side of things have just been crazy, you know, like, and it's really picked up. April, I financially had my best month by far. You know, I'm okay to say that I went probably £6,000-7,000 over my best month, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it was just unbelievable. Like, I'd never seen the business do that. And so pivoting with the business, no longer working with a business coach, and changing back to my original process it was working. And it was just one of those things where I realised just how much everything I built up and what the name I'd built up around myself and what it then helped people achieve. Mine was very much about taking people, being able to give them a space to feel themselves and be themselves and be okay to capture that. And, you know, and then being able to give people the confidence to go out and be a better version of themselves, because they realise they can help people with that version of who they are and what they've done. And for me, this is working unbelievably well, you know, and trying to find a way to get that point across even more is something that I'm always striving to learn more. And I think this is where the podcast can come in handy, because people that are actually really interested in learning more can just hear more from me and how I think, and they can learn a little bit more about how the people I work with think, and how potentially I've helped those people who I've worked with to then be that person. So, you know, from that side of things, it's been absolutely phenomenal, and just allowing that to happen has been brilliant. And, you know, so things have been going really well. We had a family holiday booked a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, I've been kicking myself a little bit because the podcast has had to take a back seat because I'd just been so busy. And I had a photo shoot where I made a bit of a mistake, and I got what the client wanted out of the shoot wrong. And for me, I only found out afterwards how wrong I got it. And it was not from me being a person who wanted to cause any grief or pain. I'm very open as a person. Like, I've got nothing really to hide, and I can talk about pretty much anything. However, sometimes I forget people aren't the same way, and obviously that can come across very strong, which for me is something that I never really realised I did. And you know, it still hurts me now that I upset the person, and it wasn't intentional, it wasn't deliberate, it wasn't me being something that I'm not. I just got the misunderstanding of the process of the shoot wrong, and it sucks. I went on holiday. I enjoyed myself with Dylan because I said to myself, I can't justify not enjoying my time with him. You know, and I chilled out with Jade. Obviously, it was nice to just relax a little bit and have a bit of downtime, and obviously just enjoy not working. The thing with it is that I just realised I'd done something wrong, and I didn't realise in my business everything that's ever gone wrong was never from a place where I was trying to be spiteful or trying to cause pain, or, you know, just trying to be a dick about things, basically. Like, it's always come from me trying so hard to do the right thing that if I've misunderstood it, it's gone wrong and it's backfired. And fortunate for me, it's only, you know, with the amount of people I shoot with, it's only happened a couple of times, maybe one or two people that never said anything. And, you know, I've learned so much about myself in this process. You know, everything was going so well. I felt quietly confident about everything. Like, I don't want to be the big, like, you know, I'm brilliant running around town, because it's just not me. But actually, I knew that deep down that I was doing the right thing and helping people. And I was getting messages every week saying, you know, the confidence you've given me, like the refresh in my mindset, the ability to look bigger and better and be stronger and learn more, and, you know, people reconnecting with their confidence, that whether that's a kind of sassy sexual type of confidence, whether that is a like mindset in just being stronger in business or overcoming hurdles and stuff like that. And, you know, I feel incredibly proud that I can offer that. And realistically, I'm not just a photographer. Like, I take photos of people. I don't know how to turn that side of me off, and I think many people say, please don't. But I have to admit, like, that whole situation threw me a lot. I didn't post on social media. I really had to think deep down about, like, and I just hate the fact that I caused someone else pain. Like, I fucking hate it. Like, I can't tell you how much it still just, it takes the wind out of me. It really does, because I've learned through this process that I really do get my oxygen from being and talking to other people. It makes me feel like I can help and be more than just me. And because I don't try and think about me in it, I try and think about how can they be the version of themselves that they want to be. What little thing are they not seeing in their mind that if they changed it or changed a different perception of themselves, they could achieve more. And I'll always be incredibly sorry for what I did. And I think that, like, obviously I've also learnt through talking to other people who are experienced in the field. Like, you know, I spoke to a mindset therapist who, you know, luckily, like, he completely understands my style of thinking, because I guess there's similarities in the way we both work, that he looks at people and doesn't see the person. He sees, okay, how they're using their mind, and how can he use it them? How can he get them to use their mind better, or to allow them to do what they wanted to do? And having a safe space to just be able to talk to someone and be open has made me realise so much more about myself. And also just other people who I wanted to learn from. And I think obviously just timings of things that happened. It allowed me to see that, like, much like in myself, there was problems in the past where I didn't know things and I was trying to do the right thing, and it backfired, and I had to learn, how do other people think? What things do others have in their mind that I need to learn how to find out more about before I say anything? And that's very much like what a therapist does. They allow you to talk, and they ask questions that probe, which then allows you to come out of your shell. And through that and talking to some people, it allowed me to see that, okay, like, I didn't cause the initial anything, because I've not been there since the start of everyone that I ever worked with's journey. But what I've allowed myself to realise is the power of words and how they are. I've had so many people, and I think this is what I've come to learn from all of it. The best things that have ever come to me have always been the things that are someone just calling me out and allowing me to see how I wasn't being the best version of myself. How I wasn't seeing that if I got these things right, I would come across as a more professional, well-rounded business person, and also just human. It would show that I had more care about what I was doing. So from me talking to numerous people, because I'm someone who I need to talk, because that's the way I figure things out. Much like doing this podcast, I'm saying things and I'm going, yeah, that kind of makes sense now. And I've learned very much about pattern recognition, like, the processes of how these things happen. And for me, what it's allowed me to realise is that I've become very comfortable in myself, which is absolutely phenomenal. I don't think many people can say that. And when they can say that, you're then in a place where you're vulnerable enough to go, okay, there's still things that I can work on to improve, but also I know that I'm not a bad person. I know that I'm not trying to go out there and cause pain, cause grief. All I want to do is help people, and it's in my best interest and best place in my heart that's where it comes from. And so when you get a situation wrong, even if like any of you guys get it wrong with a client and you sit there and think like, I can't believe I've done that. How did I do it? How did I let that happen? We can't always get it right. As much as I'd love to think I can, I think, the percentage of people that I have helped with the volume of people that I work with, let's say an average week where I might shoot with a group shoot at the weekend, I could be shooting with realistically 25 people every week. If that's 100 people a month, that's over a year, and that ebbs and flows a little bit, because sometimes I shoot with more, sometimes obviously the beginning of the year I don't shoot with as many people. You're potentially talking about, like 1,200 people, let's say 1,000 people every year. It's going to be impossible for me to ever get that completely right. And even just running those numbers, then I'm thinking, wow, like how the hell am I working with 1,000 people every year? And that's the thing of it, to get a couple wrong, that's why it's hit me so hard, because I've been fortunate enough, I've got it right quite a few times, or maybe just those other people haven't let me know. But I suppose the point of this podcast here is to say that, I am someone who I care so much, and I can't turn that side of me off, because then I wouldn't be true to myself. My parents are incredibly kind people. Like, they're more of the type of people that instead of looking out to spend big money, they're looking to save and do the nice things, but not go over the top with things. They've never had massive bucketfuls of confidence, but I think that's what spurred me on to find mine, so that I could be the version of them that they wanted to be. I've said it before. But also what it's really allowed me to do is just see that, like, talking to my dad a little bit, and he just says, Ben, like, you try so hard to just make everyone happy, and you are going to get it wrong time to time. Like, you're so genuine with it, and I've seen you work with people, and some people want to feel attractive and sexy. They need someone that they can kind of effectively flirt with and have a bit of banter with, to allow them to feel like that type of person that just feels themselves again. Some people need someone to confide in a little bit, to say, like, I've got an insecurity here, can you help me build security upon it? Whether that's in their mindset or whether that's in their figure. Like, some people say, I really don't like my waist, like, can you help me make it look better? And obviously then I've got to learn about posing and so much more. So from my role as a photographer, like, it's become from me just taking photos and knowing about lighting and how to set things up, to them being in a place where realistically I am helping people just see a different version of themselves. So when they look in the mirror, that same person in that same figure is just different, and it's hopefully how more they want them to see themselves. And I guess that's why everything's been so successful. It's not in my interest to go and shoot with bodybuilders that really know everything about themselves and capture the most unbelievably shredded people, because the reality is I've understood is that everyone can get to that place if you've got the dedication, the want, the love, the passion, the time, the need, the desire to gain a load of muscle. Like for me to go on a huge bulking phase and get bigger, I thought about it so many times, but I just don't do it, which means I don't really want it. What I want to be is almost efficient. I want my brain to be in the right place. I've come in here today because I actually set a forfeit with my mate that I would do the podcast yesterday, or I owed him £100. And I got him to write a letter to his children because he was in a little bit of a place where he wasn't aligning with his true values. And I said to him, this was the best thing that happened to me. We're literally went to the same school, same year. We've both got a child. It's exactly like they were born 2 weeks apart. He's got a slightly older daughter. Obviously, I've got one on the way. We're both into similar hobbies. We both run businesses. We're both very similar. And admittedly, I fell asleep, and that's probably why I was knackered last night. I went and actually played golf for the first time in, I think, nearly 2 years. It's been a very long time since I played, and I probably played one of the best rounds of golf that I've played in a long time, and could have had a couple of scores where I literally went a couple below what the par of that hole is. And he was looking at me just going, where's this come from? Like every time I was hitting it, it was going straight. It wasn't going wayward off all over the place. It was just going really well. And for me, I felt phenomenal. And I said to myself, I knew I had to go and do this podcast. I knew I had to get something out. And I literally got home, sat there and had some food, and it literally knocked me out. I woke up on the sofa with the dog next to me snoring. And he texted me because the forfeit was we had to do it by 10:30. I missed that. I literally went up to bed, woke up this morning, went, oh shit, I didn't do it. And that's why I'm here it was 5 o'clock or 5:30 when I got in here this morning to start filming this and get it done. Because I know I needed to get it out and I wasn't going to let that down. And I will message him and I'll tell him this is exactly what's happened, but I'm going to make sure the podcast goes out now. It is 6:30. By 7 o'clock, I want to upload it, and I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to do anything special with it. I'm just going to get it out there. So for me, this whole year, I went down a route of pivoting my business to see if I could springboard it into making what I wanted. And for me, financially, with employing my dad and everything, I needed to basically make a couple of extra thousand per month roughly to then justify all of the costs and make it work. It didn't happen. I had to pivot. I had to change. I had to reassess what I was doing and learn again. Then I had a really good couple of months where everything was just going in a really good positive way. Had this setback with the client who I literally will always be incredibly sorry about what happened on that situation. I can't take it back. It wasn't that I tried to do anything wrong, but I've just realised now that where I misunderstood the process of what she wanted from the shoot and like the way I should have come across on it, if I'd asked the questions, which is now what I'm really trying to do on every single shoot, which is working phenomenally well, it's helped me so much more to be even better. And I'm just going to say it straight into the camera. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're seeing this, learn more about helping that person get what they want instead of just going, this is what I do and that's all you get. Because it doesn't mean that you always go off camera and don't do the thing that you do and you have a structure to your system. But as long as you fully understand what exactly that person wants, and if you can help them with what they need, then you're so much better in a better place to be able to help them if you fully understand where they've come from, what they want to do, how they want to do it. And one of the big things that I've learned is somebody books to work with me, let's say 16 weeks, 3 months, 6 months beforehand, their situations change. Their journey on the way up to shooting with me could be very different to how their life was when they booked it. And, you know, it's impossible for me to know every one of them. Like, you know, to keep on tabs of it would just be, you know, I'd have to work every hour under the sun and I'd never have a breath. So for me to stop and go, okay, what is this for you? What does this mean? What have you had to overcome? what are we trying to get out of you today, has allowed me to see that I can be such a better photographer from just stopping and listening for a couple of minutes. And if anything, I get better results quicker than I do when I charge in and just try and do my thing. Because it's very easy to fall into that process, but then you realise that people love people. People want to work with those people. The end result is something that they can take away, like the photos are something that tangible that they can physically take away. But the process and the experience on the day is the thing that they actually really need, because that's the bit that often helps them to be more confident, evolve, learn more about themselves and grow. So my biggest mistake recently was just falling into the trap of just thinking everything's okay, I'm doing this and I just do my thing and that's what I do. And actually this whole year has been about, okay, testing who I am and what I'm about. And, you know, so far the rest of the year has been very good to me. You know, I know that in the news we keep hearing about these things that, you know, the country, the world's potentially going to go into a bit of a crisis, and it doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence when you're thinking we've just got ourselves into a good place after COVID and all of that stuff. You know, we've all got bills to pay and rents to due, and obviously, you know, everything's going up and crazy. And I think, you know, this is one of the things that's allowed me to feel good about the fact that, like, with all this crap going on, people can just come in here and experience feeling good for themselves, and it's an investment into themselves and not just paying for something that now's double the price and you don't really get any different out of it. And so from that, I've found that for me, this has been a massive learning experience. This has been something that I've truly learned from, and also just enabled myself to really realise who I am and what I'm about. My name is Ben Mark. I'm a fitness photographer and content creator who specialises in finding the true values and meaning of that person and allowing them to show it in a way that they feel confidence and pride in their figure and in their abilities to help make the world a better place. And that's the first time that I've ever said that out loud. But for me, being able to do all of those things is why I wake up in the morning, I work a million hours, I can provide for my family, I can give them a better life, I can give so many more people the opportunities and the emotions and the feelings that they want. And I ultimately can take a lot of those things in and turn those sacrifices and turn those failings and mistakes and worries and issues that go on with naturally running a business and just trying to keep everything afloat. I can turn all of that and turn it into huge positives for people. And that for me is why I absolutely love what I do. And there is going to be an evolution of my business that naturally will progress because my time has become very limited, and it's now got to a point where, you know, things are changing in my business. Prices are going to have to change because I just can't keep working at the level I can, and it's not fair on Dylan. And when we, you know, our daughter comes in November, if I'm not present with them and not being the parent that I told myself I was going to be. But the great thing about that is, and obviously there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out on this, and this is why I'm so keen to like kind of start pushing this a bit more. My camera confidence course is in the process. I think we're in the first like third of it, kind of just getting all the filming done, making sure the course makes sense, and there's a lot of documents in there to help people to be able to get access to my brain and my knowledge and the experiences and the way I think, without me having to physically be there. But also allow you in the time where you're recording content, you're trying to think, how can I better serve my clients? How can I use the knowledge that and the experiences other people have done to better my business? And if I can provide something like that, that will, let's say, be a cost-effective way of you guys being able to have that freedom to go, I can learn more, and if I get stuck, there's a pool of resources there. I think it can only be truly valuable, and it'll allow me some freedom to have more time with my children so that when I come in, I feel, and my wife especially, like that's one of the biggest things that I've really found upon is that, you know, time with Jade and actually us two having our relationship back is one of the biggest things that I'm actually really looking forward to, because it's phenomenal what a female can do in terms of creating a life, and the stress, the pain, the agony, tiredness, the the resilience of Jade, like, you know, going through all the pains of like feeling sick and the tiredness. Dylan's a handful, like she's doing so well. I just want to have more time to be able to enjoy her as a human, you know, to enjoy the time that we used to spend together, having a laugh and feeling free. I then want to be able to spend more time with Dylan, teaching him more things, like teaching him how to be a man, how to be a boy, how to love people and care for people, and learn how to be strong and learn from all of the failings that I've had, and then teach my daughter how to be an amazing role model to people in the future. That will only happen if I can dedicate the same time as that I do to my business. So I do need to make a pivot in it and evolve things and maybe free up some more time. However, that doesn't mean that everything's going to come to a grinding halt here. It just means that things will slowly adjust, and I will have to work with people that I really do truly feel like I can benefit. And then still have things like the group shoots and stuff, just so I can then have that bigger impact that I want, because my plan is to be able to work with hundreds of thousands of people to change lives. If I can do that at scale, then I believe that I will have a future that I won't need to worry about anything in the future, and it will just evolve into something amazing. And so what I'm saying here is, to recap, like just cap all this off, I have gone through many mental battles, and I'm not someone who's ever had or diagnosed with anything that's, you know, like, I think we all suffer with some sort of anxiety, relentless. It's not I have anxiety, we all have anxiety. It just depends what topic you're thinking on. I've never been someone who has struggled with those things, fortunately, but I can understand them very well because I've been around enough of it. I'm not someone who's going to be a therapist and being able to give you the deep down answers to solve problems that are, you know, beyond my knowledge. But I'm someone who grew up with a loving family that wanted to have children and just live a good life. You know, have opportunities, see the world, and just be a good person, work hard, you know, and be someone who can help people and people that can rely on. You know, the one thing I say about my mum and dad is you can rely on them. I've come from a background where I was bullied as a kid from being overweight. Unfortunately, I was probably too naive to let it affect me as deeply as what it could have done, because I knew something inside of me that I just wanted to win at whatever it was doing, whether it was playing football, whether it was helping people in the classroom, whether it, you know, I was always more interested in helping other people than helping myself. I realised my grades weren't important, but if everyone else felt good, their grades felt good, then I felt wanted and needed, which I think that's the big thing that I probably live off of. And you know, I went through a lot of time just trying to find my way with all of this lot. And I think the reason why I don't get too over the top with this is I've never felt like I'm anyone special, but I know that there's something deep inside of me that's got a bigger purpose. And the fact that I can say that with confidence probably says a lot about me as a person. But my want in life is to be able to do something that is so far out of the realm of what I thought I would ever do as a child, or be like, you know, I never thought I would run a business that has done multiple six figures. I never thought I'd be able to positively impact and have the messages of people saying, I think you've changed my life. I think you've allowed me to be a person that I just didn't even know was capable. I've allowed myself to love myself again. I've allowed myself to be a better parent. I've been allowed to be the person that I want to be. The thing of it all is with this is that if you truly find what you're good at and what you can evolve from, you know, you can learn a lot about, you can bounce off of other people, if you can build a good support network, if you can have trust and faith and build love and kindness, but knowledge and someone to be able to lean upon and support, you're going to do something amazing for yourself. And I think that's the reason why that I've got to where I am today, whereas I need people, but I don't always need people. I need a small support network, but what I actually really need is the opportunities and the failings that I've had to find out more about who I am so I can better serve people. And although those times are shit, I will not deny, like, I felt awful because I upset someone and I made something worse than what it was. I also learned that it wasn't because I was an arsehole. It wasn't because I'm a bad human. And fortunately, from reading back over some of the things that were said in the message, I think I understood that, okay, everyone has to go through hurdles and issues on the way, you know, with dieting, whatever they are. Like, for me, it's shit that anyone has to go through any of that type of stuff. I couldn't care who you are. Like, any problems that you have to overcome are just shit. But they're ultimately your biggest strength, and that's what I found out, is that the problems that you have to go through give you the strength, and you can and you should find ways to build upon them. And if I could take the whole situation back in a heartbeat, any of the things I've ever done wrong, I would, but also I wouldn't be the person today without them. And that's the biggest thing to remember, that when it is shit, it's just information, it's data that you can learn upon how you can improve and be better. It doesn't mean that you're a terrible person. And you know what, like, I think the big thing of all of this lot is that if you are genuine and you don't try and manipulate people for some sort of personal gain, but you try and help people, and if you can get it right and learn how to get it right more consistently and be a better human from it, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to do very well for yourself, if not really win at the game of life. You know, I've had so many people say to me, oh, you should become a life coach, you should be this, and I think, like, it makes it sound like I've got everything figured out. But I realise that there's some sort of finding people's purpose and helping them reach their own personal potential, which I think is enormous. And I think that could have some sort of space for me to expand my business on and potentially do even more for people. You know, there's plenty of photographers out there that can take photos. I know I'm good at what I do, but I also know that it's just a skill that I've learned because I was never a talented photographer as a child. I didn't even think about being a photographer. It was never something that I even thought about until I was maybe, while I was a child playing on my bikes. It was probably around like 14 to 18 that I started learning how to take, you know, the odd photo of just, you know, using a phone, or, well, we didn't even have cameras on phones back then, but having a camera to be able to use to take photos of, like, when we did bike related stuff, and the timing I've then, you know, of taking those bike photos and getting the timing right and the angle of it right, that's what's allowed me to evolve into being a fitness photographer, where if I get the timing right of when that person either looked confident or happy or laughing, if I can capture those shots, you capture a moment, you capture a personality, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, from all of my failings and all of my unfortunate mistakes, they have made me into the person I am today. And I feel like I had to come and sit there and say this and get it off my chest, because it has been something that I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that how annoyed I am at, like, how I let that situation evolve, and the small mistakes I made in that because of the way I hadn't understood the photo shoot for that person. What I can say and what I have learnt from it is that it wasn't done from a bad place, but also it was done from a place where I just, if I got the situation right, I wouldn't have done the things and said the things I had. And it would have also made me then realise that but what it has allowed me to realise is actually just understanding people even more, and taking 5 minutes to just talk to people and just listen for a couple of minutes about who they are and what they're about, it's already made a huge impact in my business. And your failings and your mistakes and the things that go wrong will teach you so much, and it will eventually build you strength if you can learn to take a step back, understand it, learn more about yourself. Did you do the wrong thing intentionally, or did it happen because you misunderstood something, or you didn't have a very good process in place to deal with it? And every time that has happened to me, my business has strided forward, and I feel now that I'm in a place where when I talk about things and people say how they like listening to me talk, and my knowledge and my brain and the way my mind works, they get a lot from it. And I feel like I'm now in a space where I probably need to lean on that even more, especially with the next steps of going into the camera confidence thing, and then evolving that into maybe some personal growth type mentorship or something like that, where I can just help people be themselves more. You know, whether I can help them just be the person that they want to be. And I'm very excited about the opportunity for it. I really am. And it's going to be something that I can really just find my true meaning with. And I believe that there's a big space for me to do something amazing. And, from all of this lot, I'll have a gym that maybe I can hire out as just a normal gym to allow more people to get better with. I'll have a photography business that I can still shoot clients, and the people that I really want to work with, I can help them. And then I can have this on the side, this other thing that will evolve naturally and potentially be something bigger than the photography, where I can impact even more people around the world and, do something that's really positive. And one of my big goals has always been to do public speaking, to be able to impact people with my knowledge and the words. And it's something that I want to work on even more, because I want to find even better ways of elaborating who I am, what I'm about, my story, how it all packs into a little cube, and then can take that to do multiple things with. And I'm learning more about that, because I want to be a better businessman, where I have a better system in place before I go gun-ho into it. I don't want to completely stop the brakes on something that will naturally evolve, but I need to have the time to be able to do it. And that's why, at the moment, everything's time related. And that's the big thing that also I've come to learn, is that you can't dwell on these things for too long. You have to roll forward. You have to move forward. So I genuinely hope, for anyone that's listened to this and hopefully learned a little bit more about me, if you haven't worked with me yet, or if you're looking to work with me in the future, if you do work with me and this has given you a chance to find out a little bit more about how it feels to go through some bigger failings, where you generally feel awful about something, where you might have caused a problem, or something's happened, or maybe a client has come away from the experience of working you not feeling how they thought they were going to feel out of it, is that you will learn so much from the process in time. And as much as it's much like a breakup, you feel shit at the time, but as it all evolves on, you do find a way to feel better, and you do find a way to use it as a strength to go, okay, if I can stop this from happening again, what should I do? What can I do? And I think that's been the best thing that's happened to me. Once again, this failings and the things where I've had to dig deeper into myself have allowed me to become a better human, which has allowed me to be a better business person, and also just hopefully impact more people. So I'm happy that I got this podcast out. I couldn't care less if I've got to pay a fine to my mate, because at the end of it, if this works, in the future, I won't have to worry about the money I've had to pay him. But the bigger picture of all of this is I got up early, I felt inspired, I look like crap, I'm tired, I have got a lot of work on, I'm constantly just trying to chase things and build better systems and find more people to help. But I think that's the biggest thing that you can take away from all of this lot, is there is always a way to solve these problems. You just need to give yourself the permission and the space to be able to go and find that problem, understand it, or not find the problem, but find the solution to the problem, by having the space and the freedom to just be you, and to evolve and learn. I wanted to do this podcast for so long. I set this office up to be in a place where I could do that, and I haven't done enough of it. Even though I've got this whole setup here, I haven't even worried about changing the background, because I wanted to make this real and raw. I wanted it to be honest, and I will move this place around, because it's not quite how I want it yet. And I love the look of this bit, but the camera's not facing the right way, and I want to evolve everything else with it. But I was trying to be too perfect with it, and I think this message is quite the important thing here, is that it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be something that works and resonates, and then you can evolve it on time. And that's why the Camera Confidence course will evolve, and it will get better, it will improve it. My business will get better, improve it. I'll be a better dad, I'll be a better father, I'll be a better husband, I'll be a better person, from just constantly trying to evolve things and not say you're wrong, you're terrible, you should be better. It's you're learning, you didn't know something, you can improve, and you will improve, just keep going. And I think that's the important bit of it, is you don't know everything. You can't know everything, because everyone is different. So you can't know everyone's process, everyone's modes, but you can learn patterns that will cause a lot of similar impacts, and that will allow you to improve and then eventually grow as a person and scale more, because you are in so much of a better place to be able to serve people. So I genuinely hope that helps. If any of you there resonate with this, or this feels good and you've listened to it, please let me know, because the podcast is something that I really do want to push, and I'll lean on more. And yeah, I'm excited to get back out there and do this again because I really do find passion in it. And, I'm going to get more people on to talk again and share more journeys and hopefully share more about my knowledge, because I think that's something that will allow me to help more people without having to be there. So thank you very much for listening today. Thank you very much for your time. Please go out there and, make the world a better place, do the right things, learn more about yourself. And I'm super excited to get back into this and share more of my journey with you.